Okay, people, it's another Thursday here in the conversation land. Of course, my name is Edwin J. Meyer. I'm your host of the conversation, Outspoken Opinionated. This is the last Thursday in May. We've had some great conversations for the last 3 Thursdays, and so this conversation I know is going to be great. But before we get on to this whole conversation, don't forget, I'm saying thank you to everybody again who's going to YouTube, subscribing, those who are going to podcast, so download our podcast. I mean Spotify to download the podcast, Apple Podcast to download the podcast, and you're going on Facebook to watch the podcast as well. Like I said earlier, today, like I've been saying this whole week, today conversations really focus on untold stories, like we had mentioned on our Instagram and Facebook pages of the conversation we're going to be having today. Is going to be with Mr. Boko Stewart. He is with JournalRage. It's an online news platform, and he's going to come on soon to introduce himself and tell us, and we're just going to have a great conversation. Again, if you are not subscribed to us on YouTube, we are the Conversation Outspoken Opinionated. On Spotify, the Conversation Outspoken Opinionated. On Apple Podcasts, the Conversation Outspoken Opinionated. And who are on Facebook, the Conversation Outspoken Opinionated, and YouTube is the Outspoken Opinionated podcast. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to invite our guests. Again, for those who are watching, if you have questions, you can send it in. If we can answer your questions now, we will. If not, trust me, we'll get to you. But again, we say thank you for being loyal followers and loyal subscribers, and welcome to the show. So, Mr. Stewart, welcome.
Thank you very much, Edwin.
It is good to have you here, to have this good conversation with you. We been back and forth for a very long time, so I'm glad that we can finally do this. But it's a great Thursday over here. It's raining. We are in the rain time. We're hoping that we can have some good weather. But I hope you guys are having a good weather all the way from Liberia. So how is the weather over there?
Well, it's raining over here as well. For the last 2 days, I've been stuck indoors. But pretty much I work from home, except for the fact that I go on the radio in the evening hours.
Okay, that's good. Well, we said thank you for being here with us. So you can just tell the people who you are, what you do, and then we can move forward.
Hello, everybody who's watching. My name is Boko Stewart. I'm a journalist from Liberia. I'm the news curator slash editor for JournalRage. Now, JournalRage is an online news platform which exclusively covers Liberia's underground LGBT community. I founded JournalRage 3 years ago, when I felt or palpable anger over the portrayal of queer issues, and especially of particular they portrayed the photo of two Caucasian women kissing on the football field, and the story was biased. It was homophobic. It was one-sided, and I remember being so angry, that I fired a letter to the editor complaining about that particular article, and the anger of which I felt, led to the name JournalRage, because then I was a journalist and still am, who was and still remains angry over the portrayal of queer issues by the Liberian media, the negative portrayal of that is. So my entire life has been in journalism, beginning with when I was in high school, and activism as well. At one point in time, I was into activism for the rights of women and girls to end sexual and gender-based violence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Well,
pretty much that sums me up.
Okay, that's good. It seems like somebody in your camp stole my questions, because you answered 2 of my questions already. So that's a whole different issue.
Really?
Somebody in your camp
Well,
been saying stuff. But anyway, JournalRage, of course, for me and for other Liberians who are in other countries, have played a part in our news. I would say our news carrier. And I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try to see, just for the audience, to see exactly what we're talking about. So I am going to do something and see if so this is the JournalRage page. For those who don't have it, there are different articles. So if you are watching, yes, you can see there are different articles are here on the page. You can go on is journalrage.org. They give you different information on Liberia. Like he said, the LGBTQI information when it comes to Liberia. And so that's what it's really been. I think for a lot of us who have had the opportunity to read your articles, to get more information, I think that is what's been happening. And so I want to ask you when it comes to your article, when you did your first piece in JournalRage, what was the
Yeah.
response from the society or from the readers when you did your first piece?
Well, I mean, first of all, before starting Journal Rage, and I'll come back to your question. Before
Yeah.
starting Journal Rage, I reached out to a couple of folks. Well, some people some people were like, look, mm, I don't know, this is not going to work. People were afraid of getting branded, the stereotype and all those kinds of things. I'm like, well, I mean, we're journalists, we sign up for a course, we sign up to give those who don't have the voice, to give them the platform to elevate their voice, to blare their voices.
Yeah.
So I remember the first piece when it came out, you know, man, the reaction was a little bit, I would say, muted because I had just used MailChimp
Uh-huh.
to email over nearly 1,000 people to be able to let them know that there's a new game changer on the block when it comes to reporting on LGBTQ community and making sure that the story was being told properly. But then, until a journalist, a student journalist from Syracuse University in New York, uh, interviewed me and she did a whole story, about the work I do. And then that story was lifted by Front Page Africa, and eventually it got lifted by the blogs, the social media blogs in Liberia. And man, it caused a hailstorm of criticism and approval. So it was crazy. So there wasn't much reaction to when I launched Journal Rage. There was relatively no reaction, except people from the LGBTQ community who have been commending and lauding me for the effort. But until that story that we narratives of how LGBTQ people are portrayed, that was where the real reaction came from all on social media. Man. It was crazy, just people saying the most negative stuff. But then when you're in the media, you've got to have what I call thick skin. So you don't
Yep.
really pay much attention. But trust me, it was crazy. It was very crazy.
So you're talking about it, but so what was the first story that you did when you came up with the magazine, you did everything? What's the first story that you published?
Well, it wasn't much like a first story because
Uh-huh.
what had happened was months earlier, prior to the launching of Journal Rage, I did a piece for New Narratives called "Justice Remains Elusive for Sexual Minorities in Liberia," and then I have done, because I didn't want the website to look so idle. So I had earlier, prior to the launching, prepared a couple of stories, maybe three, four, five, and some information. I mean, infographics, where you say infographics, like that. So everything was just put out on there. So it wasn't much like, okay, this is my first piece for the
Oh,
website. No,
okay.
yeah,
So there were
yeah.
multiple
There were
different
multiple stories.
stories or different things that
Yeah,
wow. Well, okay,
yeah,
so so I would consider that to be something brand new when it comes to Liberia. That's something that people
yeah,
probably have never. Well, we talk about it. We talk about people who are part of the LGBTQI community. We talk about the person who's gay. You got the little uncle that your mama said, there's those little undercover conversations. But now
yeah,
this is the
yeah,
first time where it's open, and now everybody, if you have internet and you have a phone, you have internet, you have access to it. So how
yeah.
have you been able to really police it?
Well, the good thing about what we've done, I mean, the good thing about what we've done is over time we've worked with people who have been interested in pushing the cause.
Okay.
And our website, is highly protected, and we work with
Hey, people, this
Professor
is
Ken for our site. So everything is so highly protected, and it's a little bit difficult sometimes to. It's very difficult to to hack our website. So, well, cyber security wise, trust me, we are secure.
okay. That's good. And so the platform, the news articles you have created, you have covered multiple stories when it comes to LGBTQ issues. When it comes to even other issues, you have covered a lot of other issues. So can you walk us through the process of how you? Because I know this is a delicate situation, especially being in Liberia, where people it's
Yeah.
not. How do you even protect your sources? How do you even try to even get sources lead like when you're doing this stuff? How do you do this stuff? And you don't need to give us all your secrets because some people might be watching and trying to do something.
Trust me, I'm not afraid. But what happens is, um, I have my ears on the ground. I have people. I have network of sources. So first of all, we don't name everybody in our article. We change their identity. We change their names to protect their identity.
Okay.
And I have sources who sometimes they are police officers. I have sources who are social workers. I have sources who, find themselves in different career, but they know that okay, there's this guy called Boko Stewart who right now at the moment in Liberia exclusively focuses on LGBT issues. So
Mhm.
whenever they come across issues of abuse and those kinds of things, because most of the stories that I often cover by us, they border on abuse and those kinds of things. So these people pass the information on to me, and I immediately go after the tip. And you know, you meet the people, the victims, survivors.
Mm.
You show them, you talk to them, show them what you're doing, and let them know that if we don't talk about this, or if this doesn't get to come out, it will lead to more and more and more of these things happening. So pretty much, yeah,
And I think I think we would say that is the most dangerous aspect of it because someone is a victim, but then they're afraid to say that they're a victim because
exactly,
that things might happen to them.
yeah,
So
yeah.
with that being said, how in Liberia, I just want to, how are these victims protected? Are there safe houses? Like, can you hear? So how are they?
For a lot of
Yeah.
LGBT organizations,
Okay.
there are a lot of underground LGBT organizations in Liberia. So usually, say for example, I put a story last year on three young men who were coming from a wakekeeping ceremony, and
Yeah.
they were brutally attacked by a community vigilante team. And I mean, it was so brutal. Like, thankfully, our partnership with Frontpage Africa allowed them to lift the story, which became their main headline story.
Mhm.
And from that, they were arrested. And also, the survivors of the brutality. When the story came out, a lot of the LGBT organizations reached out to them. Eventually they were relocated. They were giving a little bit of something, financial
Mhm.
purse or something. Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah.
that
So pretty much, yeah.
it's
Sometimes that's how it goes.
okay. And so,
Yeah.
I there are many other topics I think that you've worked on. There's other projects that you have put out, but I want to ask you, what thus far, what has been your most dangerous project that you've worked on and you put out?
So JournalRage by far is my most dangerous project because I mean, let's face it, I live in a very homophobic country. I'm
Yeah.
covering an issue that's considered taboo, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I'm just braving the storm in doing just that. So that by far, has been one of the most dangerous when it comes to danger and it comes to getting the information out there, you ask yourself, but if you don't do it, who's going to do it? It's not like you want to be a trendsetter or anything. It's just the fact that you know that you're just doing your job as a journalist. As a journalist, your job is to uncover taboo issues and make sure and dig beneath those taboo issues and see what's happening there and make sure that it's presented to the public so that people can understand because too many people in Liberia are just getting brutalized, they're getting killed, they are getting, harassed, scorned because of their sexuality. So, I mean, let's face it, once upon a time, people across the world in Western countries and other places, they were jumping off buildings because they were depressed, from these similar kinds of things. And, it's just that we say, black men strong, but yeah, I know that sometimes that can be just a myth. And a lot of people are silently going through the same thing and they are doing the same thing too as happened in those other places.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And so,
generation,
yeah. So
it's been my most dangerous.
when you said JournalRage has been one of the most rapid dangerous project,
It's the
but it
most,
is the most. Okay. So
yeah.
what story do you think that when you embarked on it, you were like, okay, I don't choose something where it's hard for me to swallow.
Well, I would say it's a story of the ex-soldier who allegedly brutalized uh 27 men suspected of being gay, and
He
now two are still missing.
hold on. You say he brutalized 27 men because he thought that they were
Yes,
gay.
he said God sent him to cleanse Liberia out of God sent him to cleanse gay people out of Liberia. Yeah, and that was like 2 years ago, nearly 2 years ago.
And so what happened to this man?
Well, it had happened in a way like he was luring and catfishing men he suspected of being gay on Facebook. Now, for a little
Okay.
bit of context, in Liberia, there aren't a lot of safe spaces for people who identify as LGBTQ
Hmm.
to go and be treated themselves. So,
Yeah.
if, for example, somebody has a safe space and say, "Hey, you come over here. I'm free. Nobody's in my house, and people can just go up, show up, sashay, and just do their stuff, flaunt, and just be happy and be themselves as humans." And so he who hit somebody up, say, "Hey, this is this. Let's talk," and they'll be chatting, and he say, "Hey, I'm on the highway. Um, I'm free. I have a whole house unto myself, so you can come over, and let's have fun." And ignoring you, thinking you're talking to somebody good, you just go over, and when you get there, after being comfortably seated and stuff like that, and then his gang shows up, and they start to attack you. They beat you up. They do the most. They give they met the most barbaric treatment against you, and so crazy. Like what they do, they tie you up with wire, beat you, take your feet, put it over a fire hard, drug you. Um, like I mean, it's crazy. You take beat you with different weapons, cutlasses, knives, and stuff like that. I mean, put a gun in your head, and then into your head, and it's crazy because I was actually on the scene. I mean, I actually went to his house with the police. But anyways, back to the issue. So after all of that had happened, and of course, you will be robbed of your belongings, your phones, your wallet, and stuff like that. And by 12 o'clock in the night, after you've been beaten, you are bruised, you are swollen, and then they put you out. to go, around midnight hour. And now, mind you, you're in the middle of nowhere because I mean you're in the middle of the highway leading to the airport. It's it's a freaking dark. There are no lights and almost like a freaking forest. You know, just put you down in the middle of nowhere to say go. And sometimes because in those communities, there are community watch teams, and sometimes you are mistaken for a criminal, and sometimes you get to be beaten for death.
Oh my God.
Because yeah. So I mean that had gone on for about 2 minutes. So I mean that had gone on for a while. So when he your phones and he lures them over, he does the same thing. He chats with the next person, he lures them over, he does the same thing. I mean it went on until it peaked at 27 men, and it was crazy. It really was covering that particular story because you realize how so much danger people are in. People who identify as minority. The kind of danger that they are in, the kind of danger that they find themselves in, and you know, and what could be done to. I mean, you ask yourself what can be done to try to put an end to this. So initially, a friend had tipped me off on this story, but I'm like, dude, I didn't follow this. I mean, I tried following, started investigating, talking to people, and eventually I was able to talk to about 5, 6, 7, 8 persons. Um, and they confirmed, you know, um, 2 men are still missing, Dominic Render and Winston Tool. The GPS coordinates of their cell phone place them within the location of this man's residence.
Mm.
And
Wow.
Dominic Render, lady in charge, he was for Zambia. He was due. He was part of the Marriage Brothers. He was due to take up an assignment in Accra, Ghana. He had come to Monrovia. He was at the mission. I mean, at the seminary in Banga, rural Liberia, and he had come to Monrovia to do his COVID test on Thursday, September 24, 2020, uh, to be able to fly to Ghana on Sunday, September 27th. Dominic Render went to meet his dad, spoke with his dad, had lunch, talked to his childhood friend who works alongside his dad. Dominic Render said he was going to the COVID center to go take his COVID test. He was going to come back to his dad. He went and he never came back. And Winston told on a Sunday, October 4th, 2020, told his girlfriend, you know, he was going to meet somebody. And since that day, he has not been seen.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, the coordinates of their cell phone from the nearest GPS tower placeable in the location of Chisholm Post, the ex-soldier who was dishonorably discharged from the armed forces of Liberia and who has, I still believe he still does, who has a marauding criminal gang. You know, the coordinates placed them within the location of his residence. And unfortunately, the police did not see it fit to charge him with the disappearance of these 2 men. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, you know, he was charged with a lot of non-bailable offenses. And as it stands now, he's a free man. It's been nearly 2 years. The case has not been prosecuted. Our government has been dragging its foot. There's been no head, no tail, and people are frustrated. The family of these 2 people need closure that they are probably never ever going to get.
Mm. That is just that is horrible. And so when you talk about that, you just give a whoo. So that falls in line. So there are a lot of people who would say the information provided on the outlet, you guys shouldn't. Nobody care about it. You shouldn't be doing it. Nobody care about LGBTQI in Liberia. What is your answer to that when someone say who cares? Like why you want to report this information? Like no one cares.
You know,
Sorry for internet service.
you know what I think? Say to people like in every family, there's always a gay person.
Mhm. You're breaking up. We can't hear
So
you. Yeah, guys, it's a live show. He is all the way from Liberia, so there probably some internet service, and I know he said it's raining over there. So we might have an issue with his transcending. So we're gonna see if he can come back in. Yeah. Well, you guys, this was it. We were having a conversation with Book Stewart. Of course, he runs he's the main journalist, the creator for the JournalRage Liberia. It's a news platform that provide information on the LGBTQI community in Liberia, underground community. He's written a lot of stories to help a lot of people. There have been so many atrocities that have happened in that nation when it comes to people who are part of the community. And so we just wanted him to, just give us light on what's going on. How are they working to solve the problems of what's been happening? I think he's back, so I'm going to bring him back into the broadcast. Can you hear us, sir? Yes, and so that's like what it is. And I think what's happening, and I don't think Liberia is the only country that's having such issue. Can you imagine one man luring over 27 people? But I believe that's the amount of people that they have account for. That's the amount of people that they probably have information on. What happens to the people who have no information on? Luring 27 people and just killing them and doing all these horrible things to them. Some people at least were able to make it and leave, but then some people, two people have been missing since. So we are having some technical difficulties. I can see. I think the transmission from Liberia is a little bit bad because of the weather. It's raining a lot. So I don't know if we're going to be able to get him back. But if we do, if we don't, of course, this is the conversation. It's Outspoken Opinionated. I'm your host, Edwin Maya. We're having some major conversations. Next month is going to be a really great month. And so we're just going to keep on. I think he's back. You're back. Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Good. Yes, and so I was just saying that it is what it is. This stuff happens. So with the live show and this internet issues, it's the same thing. But yeah, so you were talking about, what would you say to someone who, people who say nobody care about these things? Why are you guys trying to publish it and put this in our face? We don't care.
Well, until it happens to somebody who has a relative, then that's the only time they care. I mean,
I
that's why I
agree.
basically tell people until it's your father, I mean, your brother or your sister or your cousin, then maybe that's the time you would actually care. But I tell you what, sexuality, is innate, and do not allow it to happen to somebody should not be beaten up because of who they are, or their bedroom choices. And at the end of the day, we are all humans. So if one person lost, I mean, if one person's life is lost, then you should be concerned, especially on circumstances that cannot be. Well, there is no justifiable circumstances either. So I sometimes try not to respond, but I just tell them like, look, in your family there's a gay person, so you just don't know. So don't pray for something that happened to that person before you start to actually care. You know.
And so we over here, I know for me, I follow a lot of things on social media. I am following a lot of things, and I have followed so many things. But there is something that I've seen recently that is giving me a little. I don't want to know how to say it. It's irked me a wrong way. And I'm not going to say the name, but there is this one blogger who all they do on their page is literally dehumanize people of the LGBTQI community. They post anything relating to that. He posts whatever. And I think there have been allegations towards him being a part of this community. And there are so many things that he posts all the time. And I'm like, what's the point? And I have literally gone in the inbox and asked, like, okay, so what's your point? Like, are you shining light on these issues, or are you just there to bully people as usual? And so you, this is a, this is a course that you're working on. There are things that you're working on. How are you able to do what you do despite all the naysayers and these things that people are doing to literally dehumanize individuals who are just trying to live their best life?
Well, you should have just ignore a lot of BS. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I tell people that look, if you are comfortable within yourself and you are sure of who you are when it comes to your sexuality, you don't need to be talking about other people's sexuality. How does it irk you? How does it bother you? It's not putting money in your pocket. Like, what do I have to be thinking about? What someone does within their bedroom when I have to be thinking about how will I get my paycheck every month?
Yeah.
What does someone doing in a bedroom, you know, pay me at the end of the month or bring money in my pocket or put food on my table? It doesn't concern me. And also what I tell people is people who hate on other people for no reason, they are suffering from self-hate.
Yeah.
They are part of what they are hating on, and they
Mhm.
just cannot bring themselves to admit to the fact. And mind you, you can blame them because it's how they've been indoctrinated. So that indoctrination, as now they are older, they cannot reconcile. They cannot reconcile what they were indoctrinated against and versus the reality of being who they are. So as a result, to try to justify their fragile masculinity and to try to justify their internalized homophobia, they have to do what they have to do. And I tell you what, a lot of the LGBTQ people I've interviewed, and some of them can be like, look, if we rather start to call names, you'd be surprised to know some of the biggest haters on social media are those who are actually on the DL.
I
So,
know. And when you said that, I think that's something that is extremely, extremely terrible. That is something that is very bad. That is something that, and I would say as a Liberian person, I think that is something Liberian people partake in a lot. They are quick to out people. And I say this all the time. That is nobody's business. And I think it happened recently where some guy, I think he met another guy, and he was laying in the person's bed. That person took a picture and posted it on social media. And when I say, I think they deleted it within like maybe like 4 or 5 minutes. But when I say that thing went like wildfire, that picture was in everybody group chats and all that kind of stuff. And I remember when somebody sent it to me, I was like, okay. Like, look, I'm like, okay, what? What's the point? Oh, but look at him. I said, what's the point? What is the point of you sharing this picture? What are we supposed to talk about? This man is in behind four walls in another room with somebody else that is supposed to be secluded, exclusive from everybody else. So why you having access to this picture now? Why you're sharing it? And I think it's just a horrible, horrible thing that we do. It's like we're so excited. Oh my God, look at this person. This person is gay, and in this picture, I told you when JournalRage did the what's the thing the other day you did on
the fundraiser
the
club,
fundraising thing on what's the
yeah,
platform? What's the platform?
Clubhouse,
Clubhouse. I
Clubhouse.
got a message asking me, oh, so why are you listening to that? Wait a minute, why am I listening to that? Why can I listen to that? Are you like I literally got text message. I was like, y'all need to calm down. Y'all really need to
I
calm
need
down.
to come to F down.
Calm down, because trust me, it is not that deep. There are so many other things that are important in this life, and there's so many other things that are major in this life and in your life that you need to worry about. Don't worry about somebody listening to a clubhouse stuff that's talking about gay people in Liberia and stuff like that. And even if, what's the point? How does this affect you? But anyway, despite the course, let me that. You have reported on so many stories, and there are a couple of them I've written down, and I want to suggest talk about a little bit. But there is a story that you reported on, and I believe it was about this kid that was he was expelled from school for, I think he was cross
Oh.
dressing when in the market picture,
Oh,
and
speaking of
that picture went viral, that video went viral and stuff like that. And the reaction from people, that what really, really confused me. I was like, wow, people are so evil. But when you, because I know for me, when I heard you were expelled from school, I'm like, what what he did outside of school, outside of the uniform, has to do with the school. But anyway, that article, how are you even able to get information for you to post it on and all that stuff?
well, basically everything was on social media. So
Yeah.
what I did try to do was to reach out to the superintendent under the Methodist school system.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I reached out to the Ministry of Education as to what they have to say about the student cross dressing, but unfortunately, about not about the student cross dressing, but about the expulsion of the student. But unfortunately, the the spokesperson of the Ministry of Education told me that the minister was out of town, hence he could not make any kind of comment. I'm like, dude, this issue has been trending on social media, so by now at least you should have something ready. Of course, journalists are going to reach out to you. But anyway, I couldn't get a response. The Methodist superintendent said he was going to look into it. Um, I didn't get any kind of response from them furthermore. And the boy was he actually still a teenager, so I could not interview him, without the
Yeah.
consent of his parents. And initially we had thought that he was 19, but then come to find out that he was 10. Last year he was like 15. And even
Oh
very
wow.
recently he was recently attacked. He was recently attacked. And just I think a week or two ago, it's the story I was just writing on right before we started this interview. Because I had done the interview last week, but because I've had a backlog of things that I
Hmm.
needed to clear out, and so I had to table it a little bit. And he tried getting entry into two schools, which is also another story that I'm going to have to write on as well. And those schools, after collecting his money, they expelled him again because of that video. And really makes me to question where some of these institutions stand when it comes to when it comes to the provision of education. Whether they are judging people now because of what they see on social media, those kinds of things. So like I said, a lot of the stories were, a lot of that particular story, everything was basically on social media, except for the fact that you had to reach out to uh the people from the ministry and blah blah blah. Yeah.
But I want to. So when he was expelled from the school he was in, he's never been back to school yet. He's never been back in school since then.
Oh, let me see. Hmm. I don't. I think it was nearing the end of the year, so I don't. I don't think he went back. But then, he went to. Now, I don't want to provide this information until
Yeah,
I.
that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine because you have to do an article on it. But I
He went
just
to
because.
another school in Syncor,
Uh-huh.
and they have taken his money, his tuition, everything. Got dressed for school, everything. Da, 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 da. Of course, because the video, of
Yeah.
course, it made him popular. It went viral. So some of his friends were organizing. Some of the children that his classmates recognize, oh, who's that? Who's there? Who's there? God, God. So,
Man,
there was an uproar in the classroom, and then the principal came by. It was like, oh, oh. So what's all this uproar about? I was like, oh, that boyfriend, God video. And then
somebody showed
he
a
was
video.
taken to the principal's. He was taken to the principal's office. The principal said he had to go home and never come back. His mom was called, and after so much did it, darling, they gave her the tuition back.
So with that being said, how can that situation even be rectified? How can, because I look like in a sense where I see it, it's wrong. It's wrong for what the school, the institution is doing, but how can we protect this kid? Because he's a child.
He is a child,
A child.
and actually,
Right?
he needs protection. It should come from the relevant stakeholders, the government, the Ministry of Education will have to put their foot down as to whether a person who cross dresses, and mind you, there are a lot of comedians cross dressing around here.
That's what
I mean, there are people who have.
I'm going to right now, because that was going to be my next thing. That's one issue that I have with Liberian comedians, because I feel like the Liberian comedians, nobody feel they can be funny if they wear women
Funny,
clothes. And
unless it's close.
I'm like,
Trust me, I believe somebody bringing that innocent out. But anyway, that's a different story for different thing.
I've been watching. I'm like, sir,
Yeah,
like you
I
don't.
know. I've had those same thoughts.
I'm like, you're funny. You don't have to do all of that to be funny. And I
So
think
yeah, you don't have to wear a wig and stuff.
you don't have
And now
to
when
wear.
somebody else does it, and
It
now
was somebody
everybody
else.
clamps down on the
Exactly. That is my issue. So I'm like, it's so hypocritical. I'm like, this is the
very,
biggest
very. I mean,
hypocrisy I've ever seen. A teenager goes and get his makeup done. That's what he wants to do. He don't want to spend his money. Which one concern you? But you will go pay $20 or $15 to sit down in a room and have a comedian dress up like a woman and say he's making you laugh as a woman. And we can pay to go see that, but that ain't an issue. So that's why I think for me, it's just like Liberian society, for me, it's very conflicting, it's confusing. I say that all the time. Every time I'm like, you're so weird. Like, I don't know if Liberians are very weird. Like, they think so much, they'll accept the same thing, but then they will say they don't like the same thing. Even about it's the same thing. What's wrong? Why are you not liking it now? They didn't like it yesterday, they didn't like it. But anyway, so you talked about that. I think his story has went viral. I believe we've had friends and I have so many conversations about it. The fact that I don't know, some of us don't have access to him, we don't know how to reach him. But I know some of us who have sat there and have conversations where, like, first of all, he's a brave child. Let's be really, really honest. When we were growing up in Liberia, when I was growing up in Liberia, we knew older people who were gay, and you would never ever catch them in any makeup or anything, and no sort like that. There are people we went to school with that everything, life was great. And so when I saw him, I was like, wow, it just takes one person to do something for us to start this conversation, because I don't care what people say, people are starting to have this conversation because you want to know, why is this little kid so comfortable enough to go and sit there and get his makeup done? The people that did his makeup, the people that are in that space that allow him to sit there and do his makeup, that means there is some sort of tolerance, there is some sort of acceptance that came from there that makes it just realize and say, okay, something's happening.
Yeah.
So I don't care what we say, something is happening. Apart from the old lady who thought that she needed to win his soul for the kingdom, but we'll leave that for another day. Now, there's a story that is dear to my heart. I'm going to put my disclaimer in first. It's extremely dear to my heart. It's a story that I have followed from I don't know if the right word, from the birth of it to now that happened. I think I've been in it because it's a close family member and everything. And today on your platform, JournalRage, there's another article about John Tubman that stated that he was a rapist. And so I'm the kind of person where I don't, like I say, it's dear to my heart because he put it out there. He was my godfather. He's my mom's best friend. They went from high school to like they were like buddies. And so for me, I think rape is something that you don't tell somebody they're lying. You never, when someone said they was raped, you don't dismiss it. We have to listen to it. Unfortunately for him, he's not here to defend himself, so there's nothing we can do. But you guys pull out the first article about when he was killed, and you put out the articles and all that things that happened. And now that this article has come up, basically to say, yes, he was a victim, but he also did some things to other people that is unacceptable. So how do you guys play this from a journalism standpoint? Because I ain't there yet. I just gave my opinion. How you guys play this?
Well, initially, so usually I have my JournalRage email, which people email me, but most times I don't check it. So today I was going through a backlog of emails that have been unchecked, and I had just installed the email on my phone, and I came across the email from Miss Horton, Stephanie C. Horton, um, complaining about John Tupton and blah 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 blah, and why are we um defending him, blah blah blah. He's allegedly, or he was allegedly a rapist and stuff like that. So I'm like, hey, you have to understand that this is a news platform. We are journalists. We report the news. If we have evidence to suggest otherwise that this man was this or that, then we report that with the evidence. Other than that, you know, um, I just cannot and I won't say anything or write anything without the authentic evidence. Okay, so yes, there were rumors when we were kids growing up. We heard some of those rumors and blah 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 blah. But then at the end of the day, you cannot make up a rumor. You cannot write a story in a rumor here, so anything like that. Um, so I asked her, "Do you want to publish your letter, your email as a letter to stuff?" She's like, "No, I have another piece that you can publish." She shared a link with me, and you know, um, it was published, and of course, it does have some um alarming things,
Yeah.
and those things I was alive then, so I cannot dispute any of those things. And she wrote what she wrote, and it's on the right now. It's with the public now to be the judge. We just provide the platform,
Mhm. And
and
I
since
think
it
that
concerns LGBTQ issues, we have to do it.
I have to, and that's what I say. And I think for me, my only thing would be is like, okay, this person is dead and gone, so they can defend themselves. So it takes the public opinion to go ahead and do it. And this is something that I say all the time. I say, I wish people will give this information when these people are alive or they are around
Right.
or to defend themselves. Because now when you put out information about this person is not here to defend themselves. The only side that we have is your side. And so now we have to go there and dissect it and do the work that if he was here, he probably would be able to defend himself. Well, at the end of the day, like
Yeah, and yeah,
if
and the author was kind of getting angry with us as to why we were taking up this issue. Like, yeah, why couldn't I mean why shouldn't we take up this issue? You know,
Mhm.
um, it's an issue of somebody being murdered, and this person was reportedly an LGBT person. So,
Yeah.
as the platform which covers LGBT issues in Liberia, it's incumbent upon us to report on this. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not is. Are you getting me?
Yeah, I'm getting you. Yeah.
it's not it's not our business to I mean we have to it's not our business to like try to say something or give an opinion
Mhm.
on something like that. It's our business to make sure that the police investigate this murder. It's our business to make sure that the police arrest the culprits. It's our business to make sure that the family of this man gets justice. Now,
Yeah.
whether this man had a bone he picked to people, he had bone other people picked to him in the past, we don't know, and we
Mhm.
do not have any proofs of those things. So nobody should try to take up issue with us. We will report the news just as it comes, just as we uncover it, you know, regardless of whether it's alleged that somebody is a rapist. But hey, this person doesn't deserve to be murdered. And it should not be clapped that this person was murdered, regardless of whether they had allegedly raped anybody before. And
Yeah, and I
you
think
know,
that's yeah, and I think that's why it falls in line with the whole justice system when it says that you are innocent until you're proven guilty. It's a hard
exactly,
slow. It's a hard thing for all of us to accept sometimes when you know that this person did this. Like there is no way this person didn't do this, but that person has to be proven guilty beyond all reasonable doubts. And I think that's something that I know for you guys who are in journalism, you guys have to you guys have to do your own vetting, you do your interrogation, you have to get sources, the sources have to be concrete. There are so many things that you go through in order for you to put a story out. And so I think sometimes people get offended with the news per people and all that kind of stuff. It's like, why did you put that out? And that person did this. And you're like, okay, I vetted, I did all I was supposed to do in my power. Now it's your time for you to go ahead. But I think there is a lot of information that she's given. And I think there are a lot of people, if those stories, and this is what I say, the thing with these people is I won't put label on, I won't put no label, but I think with the community at that time that she's talking about, they were a really close-knit community. And so
hmm,
stuff like that will come out. Like once you haul
yeah,
bush, I can say we can haul rope haul.
Robo, you heard Robo Bush, yeah,
We're gonna see all these things unfold. And I will say it again, and I will continue to say it. Unfortunately, he's not going to be here to defend himself. His child will have to read about this. His family members will have to read about this. They will have to see it. It's going to cause a whole different trauma. I think sometimes we forget to realize what happens because now the family is going to relive certain things. And if the family know, I don't care, you can put initials. People can, if these people are people who are around and you get certain scenarios, they can put two and two together and realize who you're talking
together,
about.
yeah,
And so they can
yeah.
start asking questions and all that kind of stuff. So I hope, and if it is true that those things happen to those gentlemen, I'm sorry. Like nobody should be able to go through certain things, like stuff like that. So we hope, for me, I just hope that justice will be served. I hope that even his murderers will be brought to justice. And we hope that his legacy will not go down the drain based on these allegations. But it has been a great time with the Booker Stewart here on the conversation. We had a conversation. I said, thank you, sir, for taking up the time in your busy schedule. I promise, and I promise I'm saying it on air for everybody to hear it. The next time I'm in Liberia, I owe you. I know I owe you, but the last time I was too scared of COVID, so I had to hide from everybody. Let me just, that's what it was. I was afraid, and so I was hiding. But I promise the next time I owe you, and I said thank you for being here, the information you've given us. We said thank you for, providing information to us, people who are inquisitive, people who want to know what's going on in Liberia, people who are allies of the LGBTQI community. And we know that, hey, there is a community in Liberia, what's going on with them. But I know JournalRage, you guys you're using your own finances and stuff like that. Where can people go to follow you? Where can they go if they want to donate, they want to provide funding to help you do your work? Where can they go?
So, if you want to find me on Facebook, I use the name Book Stewart on Facebook. That's in BOOK. On Instagram, I use Book Stewart as well. On Twitter, I use Book Stewart as well. If you want to donate to JournalRage, we have a GoFundMe page. In each of our stories, there's always a GoFundMe page link.
Yeah.
And if you search GoFundMe, you put LGBT Liberia, you see a link of a fundraiser we did, or you can just type Boko or JournalRage within the GoFundMe stuff on the GoFundMe website, and you will see you will see our GoFundMe pages. There are actually two of them, and if you want to say you want to send money or donation directly to us, you can send to Sendwave,
Mm-hmm.
and my number is +231 86484974. And my name is Boko, as in Gboko, John, as in John, Stewart, as in Stewart. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much what we do is self-funded, and we don't have external for now. Things are still in the pipeline, but we don't have any external funding for the work that we do. So we just rely on donations from people who read the stories. So yeah.
Okay, so thank you
No, no,
so
no. So
much.
you missed the number.
Oh,
Plus 231 886
uh-huh.
484974.
So plus 231 886. Uh-huh.
48
Oh, 480974.
49. No,
Oh,
no.
4849.
4974.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So that's good. Send wave. Let me do it again, people. So save send wave 231 886 484974. And it's
Yeah.
Boko.
That's the number.
Okay, great, guys. So there is it. It's on there. Send wave. You can do that. You can send in your contribution. And then let's just support. Let's support, guys, because we know we're all humans, and like we all have friends, family members who are part of the community, and let's just support people to be themselves and live how they want to live. But if you also want to get in contact with any other, if you also want, if you see stories that you want, look, I see this story, I want to support this person, do the same thing. You can also catch him on Instagram. He's at Book Stewart. Facebook at Book Stewart. You can go there, you can send him a message, and you can reach out to him, and you guys can, we can start this thing. But I said thank you so much, because this is extremely important. I said thank you for taking out the time to be here with us, and you have a great Thursday. And I hope you enjoy your weekend. And I'll see you when I see you.
Thank you very much, Edwin. It's been a
And
pleasure.
I wish you all the luck on Saturday, because I know you guys are having
Oh, well, let me talk about it. Let me talk about it. Yeah. So actually, the Press Union of Liberia is having her Media Excellence Award, and I am gunning for two categories:
Okay.
Human Rights Reporter of the Year and Investigative Reporter of the Year. So I sent in two entries. So I'm hoping that both of them get to be selected, or either one of them. So good. Thank you for the luck.
So yeah, people. So that's it. So you said the president of Liberia doing an award show. You are you put in for two, right? Um,
Yeah, Human
human.
Rights Reporter
And
and Investigative Reporter.
okay, human rights reporter, investigative reporter. So is there somewhere people can go to vote?
Well, no, actually, there is a panel, a judging panel, which goes
Oh,
through the stories and then select which one,
that is good.
Yeah,
That's real good.
yeah.
That's real good. Well, we hope you all the we wish you all the luck. We hope that you bag both of them, and it will be
Thank
great.
you.
I think it will be extremely. It will be there are two amazing awards. I think what you're doing is great. So I don't even think that that's going to be an issue. But even if it's an issue, we still want you to know that you are important, you are great, you are super. The work that you're doing is extremely important. We support you in any way we can. And we say thank you so much for risking your life for other voices to be heard.
Thank you, Edwin. It's been a pleasure.
You have a good day. Okay, people. So of course that's was Book Stewart from JournalRage Liberia. We had a great conversation about the LGBTQI community in Liberia. If you haven't been watching, we ask you to go to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify for the conversation Outspoken Opinionated. I am your host, Edwin Maya. This has been a great Thursday. I am out, and you guys all have a great